Hey everybody, Mandy Ray of Ecstatic Astrology here to give you the forecast for the next few weeks, starting with the new moon in Capricorn, which happens December 23rd. I'm recording this Wednesday, December 21st, the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere, the sun moving to the 0 degree of Capricorn point. And leading up to the new moon, we do have one transit, Venus trine Uranus on the 22nd, which may be noticeable. It's actually more like overnight from today into tomorrow, the 22nd. And Uranus is change, and it's in Taurus, which is our values, what makes us comfortable, our assets. And a trine to Venus, which is supportive in Capricorn, is really about being aware where things are changing for us and maybe actually harnessing that a little bit. Venus rules love and money, to boil it down very simply. So you may be aware something's changing with one of those things, maybe what you value, maybe where you find comfort. And you can harness some change from today into tomorrow. And freedom is another Uranus keyword. So it's something to note just leading up to the new moon. The new moon is at about, I want to say 4:15 a.m. in the central US. Let me double check that. So we won't be, I mean, most of us won't be awake, although we have snow forecasted here in the southeast, a little bit, a tiny little bit in Alabama. And we Southerners are not used to this cold weather we're about to get. It's a little extreme for us. So I may be up to see some snow at 4:16 a.m. Central US time when the new moon happens. We'll see. It'll be dark, dark, dark. I know that, with clouds rolling in, windy and cold. And Capricorn is a cold sign in astrology. And that doesn't mean that in the Southern Hemisphere, when it's summer, they experience cold. What it means is Capricorn is related to structure, foundation, ancestry, tradition, success. None of those things really care about your feelings. Security and safety, yes, but feelings not so much. So that's why Capricorn is the opposite sign to Cancer. Cancer does care about your feelings, and you need both. It's two sides to a coin in astrology. I love to look at the opposing sign to understand it. You know, what is Cancer? Cancer is family and nourishment and nurturing and motherhood. And Capricorn is a lot like the father, if you will, or and it doesn't have to be genderized like that, but it is the authority figure, the way we build our security to keep our family safe. Okay, so women and men can do that. Doesn't matter how you identify. It is the concept of being the authority figure. And so Capricorn can be related to government and to laws and to rules and to the foundations of our home, of our lives. That is Capricorn. So new moon there is planting seeds in that area, and find where it is in your chart. I always do rising sign forecasts, and I will have those this time. They're on a separate mini video that I do, so you can get a quick update with what's going on in your own life. And it's important to understand. And if you follow these moon cycles, you will learn that for yourself, and you'll go, okay, I know that I'm Libra rising, so when stuff's in Libra, it's about my identity, okay? And that's how we use astrology. I use it as a tool. I do not escape with astrology. Sometimes I do, probably, but I use it as a tool, just like any other tool. So I think it's valuable, and I will do those rising signs separately. So let's talk about the general feeling of the new moon in Capricorn. We're starting a new cycle in this area of foundation, of what we consider success. Capricorn is the top of the mountain. It is, you know, the mountain goat climbing up the side of a sheer cliff. That's Capricorn. It doesn't stop trying to get to the top. It's cardinal earth. It takes action on material reality. So that is the phase we're starting, the new moon, planting seeds there. Now, this new moon is square, which is tension. And in astrology, we do look at the geometric associations between these planets. square is 90 degrees to Jupiter in Aries, which has just moved into Aries. So if you notice, the sun is also square to Jupiter as soon as the solstice hits. So it's a couple of days of that. I mean, it's only the new moon's only at 1 degree of Capricorn. Jupiter is at, I believe Jupiter will be at what? Jupiter is at 0 degrees, 15 minutes of Capricorn during the new moon. So we're just talking about a degree or so away from an exact square. That exact square happens pretty much right at the solstice. So what is that square to Jupiter? What is the tension to Jupiter, who is truth and abundance and expansion and optimism? Well, Jupiter in Aries is pushing for action, pushing for self, for desire. It's a Mars ruled sign. And we're trying to find our truth, our authentic self. What is that? Survival is another word with Jupiter in Aries. Aries is about our very survival. And, you know, Aries can be about frustrations as well. What makes us passionate? It's definitely desires. So finding our authentic truth and what we want to be out in the world, and then also accepting ourselves, really diving into our identities, what we believe about ourselves, what we believe we deserve in the world, what direction we believe we should be going, which is a very Aries thing. Aries does charge out onto the battlefield. It's the warrior. So what is our philosophy around that, around independence, around autonomy, around identity, around survival, around our anger? That's what we're kind of exploring with Jupiter, exploring ourselves and our desires. So that tension is, for instance, if I'm pushing for success in Capricorn, is it the success that I really want? Jupiter in Aries. And it's big. Jupiter expands whatever it touches, whether it be by trine, square, whatever aspect you can think of. If Jupiter's touching it, it is somehow expanding something. And it's expanding our need to take action, our need to push ourselves. But a new moon is quiet. So it's kind of a restless quiet at this new moon. A knowing pause before we get moving, and an exploration of where we want to direct ourselves for success. Now, the other thing is Mars is still retrograde. Mars rules Aries. It's in Gemini. And it doesn't really make any aspects to this new moon at all. But it does govern what goes on in its home turf, Aries. So Jupiter's kind of looking at Mars retrograde in Gemini going, what are you learning over there in Gemini? And that has been a big research project. What information have we received? What is this research project of Mars retrograde in Gemini brought us? What have you learned? What have you heard? What have you found out? Gemini is communication. It is data. It is how we get and give information. And there's been a lot of that, a lot of talking, maybe not, maybe you've pulled back, maybe I don't want to talk so much. I mean, it's in my 12th house, which is like hiding. I'm just like, I don't really want to, you know, but there is, I can feel this push pull. What do I believe about socializing? What do I believe about taking time to myself? Right. So you can be figuring out what you truly believe in both Aries and the Gemini area. So take a look at that as well. It's important. The only other aspect here at this new moon is going to be Venus is still only a degree away from trine to Uranus. It's now moved on a little bit, so it's separating. And then also Mercury is going to be sextile to Neptune, which is imagination. You know, like maybe we can dream up a reality, a structure that actually fits our dreams, that fits our fantasies. How can we bring imagination into reality? How can we tap into our intuition? That is another thing. How can we tap into our spiritual life, our spiritual center, as well as the place inside of us that wants to push up the mountain and succeed? Mars is also sextile Chiron, which is also in Aries with Jupiter. So this is a sense of we need to heal and figure out who we really are, Chiron and Aries, what we really want. Mars is also tapping into that. So this is very much a strategy kind of a new moon. Success is measured by met desires. I think more than anything, are we meeting our own desires? Are we really feeling like we accept ourselves? Like we're getting what we want, like we're going that like we're moving in all the direction we want to move? These are all questions we could be asking ourselves during this time. Now, one last thing is Saturn is sitting all by its lonesome at 21 degrees of Aquarius. It doesn't have any aspects, but Saturn rules Capricorn. So Saturn is ruling not only the new moon, but Saturn's ruling Venus, Saturn's ruling Mercury, Pluto is there as well. It's ruling 5 planetary bodies, 2 luminaries, 3 planets. So it has a lot of power and it's unaspected. It's just wielding this power. Now, where is this? It's at 21 degrees of Aquarius. And I want to read you the Sabian symbol for 21 degrees of Aquarius because it really makes sense to me. Jupiter is also play. Jupiter is gifts, right? So this is a rug placed on the floor of a nursery to allow children to play in comfort and warmth. And we can just sit with that for a minute. A rug placed on the floor of a nursery to allow children to play in comfort and warmth. So it is, I imagine myself sitting in a room full of adults as a kid, and I want to play on the floor. And some adult I'm at someone's house brings me a nice comfy rug to play on. Something they already have, something they want to provide. So the key to this Sabian symbol is a warm appreciation of basic opportunities and even small comforts that we can safely and happily grow into personal maturity. So a structure that protects us, that keeps us safe in order to be able to play. And that also describes very well the new moon in Capricorn square Jupiter and Aries. We want to provide the structure to support our exploration of ourselves. I thought that was really awesome. So that is the new moon. I think intentions around this new moon are good if we think about our safety, our comfort, how we can structure our lives in a more innovative way to support ourselves, to support the truth of who we are. So let's go through the next couple of days, actually a couple of weeks, and we'll look at what comes up on the following days and give you a little bit of a preview here. I think Saturday the 24th, and maybe I will share the chart because it may be easier for you guys to follow along. Why not? So let me pull this up here, share screen. Thank you, Mandy. You're doing really good. Sometimes I have to talk to myself like that. Okay. So right now, this is the new moon that I have up. It's at 32 degrees of Capricorn, and there's the square to Jupiter, that red line. And so we can see that it's really close to exactly 90 degrees. And that's why it's probably the biggest part of the new moon to me. But there's Saturn over here all alone, just kind of unaspected, wielding its Saturnian power. Now, if we go to the 24th, the moon still pretty far close in Capricorn. It's only at mid Capricorn by Saturday the 24th, and it's meeting up with Venus, which I really love. That's always a feel-good moment. And it's trining Uranus, which is change, which is freedom, it's opportunity. So I feel like Saturday the 24th, I mean, of course it's going to be a good day. It's Christmas time in the world, and maybe, I don't know, whatever you celebrate, but this is Christmas time for most people. So especially in the South, that's what they do. Christmas time, happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, that is what is going to feel good around this time. So Sunday, December 25th, and I'm tripping all over my words. That's okay. I'll show you where Mercury is about to go retrograde. Sunday, December 25th, the moon's in Aquarius. And I find that funny for the holiday of Christmas to have an Aquarius moon, which is kind of detached. Um, it is bird's eye view, so it's kind of like what's going on in the world. Let's check this out. Um, it's not really, there's no really bad aspects, I don't think, during this holiday, but I think it will feel a little like disconnected. Monday, December 26th, it's Moon Saturn. Everyone's going to have a hard time waking up from that holiday hangover, if you will. And it's funny because Christmas is on a Sunday. So if you celebrate Christmas, go easy on the libations, because the next morning you wake up with a Moon Saturn conjunction, which is like the wall. It is work. It's I got to get up and do things. Also, I mean, I wanted to point out this sextile to Neptune of Mercury. That does make it feel kind of magical. Like I said, no matter what you celebrate, this is going to feel good, especially through the 24th. 25th is not going to be so bad with the moon in Aquarius because it's got a sextile to Jupiter. But the 26th is, no matter what you're doing for the holidays, even if you don't celebrate anything, Monday seems like it's like get back to work, okay? Kind of time to put on your boots and march. That may be a little extreme. Um December 27th. Let's see here. Ooh, did I? Oh, on the new moon, Chiron goes direct. That's right. I forgot about that. Okay, so Chiron's direct now as well, which really I think brings the healing more into awareness. I think we understand that we need to make changes in the Aries area. So December 27th, which is Tuesday, we got the moon in Pisces, sextile the sun, always kind of a nice feel good time. Jupiter's in Aries though, so it's going to be an active week with the moon moving into Pisces, I think, taking cues from Jupiter and Aries. And it will square Mars at about 5:16 p.m. Just after, so around 5:30 p.m. in the central US, the moon squares Mars. That's always kind of a rough transit. It's quick. I mean, it lasts an hour maybe. I mean, you may feel the lead up there around the afternoon. But Mars can be frustration. Mars is action. Mars is direction. And it's really trying to figure something out in Gemini, which is the mind, communication. So the moon in Pisces square Mars, you know, you may want to just kind of let go and escape, but we've got to communicate. We got to be doing the busy work, doing the research project. It may also be a lack of clarity because Pisces tends to do that. Also, the same day, Venus is sextile Neptune. So Venus in Capricorn is pushing again for success, for structure, for some semblance of a foundation and adherence to rules. The sextile to Neptune and Pisces is like, but maybe I can bend on just a little bit. A sextile is opportunistic, so I do think this is a good time to imagine what you want to do, especially in regards to where Capricorn is in your life, in your chart. Your chart is your life. But I think too, bringing that imagination into reality comes up, and I think that's a really nice transit. The downside is the moon square Mars that day. So look for a mixture of some things on December 27th, especially in the afternoon with moon square Mars. As we move into Wednesday, the 28th, we have moon Neptune, sextile Venus. I love that. So Wednesday, the 28th looks good. A little spacey, not going to lie, but good. And dreamy. So I think dreams will probably be off the charts around this time, especially with Jupiter and Aries, such an active sign, and Mars and Gemini, such a mental sign. Anytime dreams get brought up, it will be something that happens a lot to a lot of people. And I've noticed it with Pisces transits, with Neptune transits, and the fact that Venus and Mercury here are sextile to this moon, Neptune. It's a magical Wednesday, but also one where people might have sleepy eyes and not want to do a whole lot. That's the downside of that. But definitely a time to tap into your imagination and creativity on Wednesday, December 28th. Now we get to Wednesday, December 29th, which is the big deal. We're talking around when we wake up, Mercury stations retrograde with Venus. Okay, so when we see two planets together like this, we can think our minds are on our values, Mercury, Venus. We communicate our love of what Capricorn values. We also think about it with a Mercury Venus conjunction, but the significance here is that Mercury is slowed down and it's going retrograde Thursday, December 29th. So there's something to re-strategize. We've got to go back and look at the plans. Venus met up with Mercury is like, hey, I talked to Uranus, changed my mind a little bit. And I think instead of money, I value time in my job. So I think I might want to find a job that gives me more time instead of more money. Okay, that's the kind of way this goes. And the station retrograde is go back and figure it out. So Mercury goes back, kind of figures it out. Now, let me read you the Sabian symbol for this degree of Capricorn. I read you the Sabian symbol for the 22nd degree of Aquarius, which was an adult puts a warm rug on a floor for a kid to play. That happens at the new moon. Then we get this Sabian symbol. And this is amazing that these things are like this. I don't know why. The Sabian symbol is a store filled with precious Oriental rugs. So we get offered this rug. Maybe we didn't like this rug at the new moon. Maybe we figured out I didn't really like the rug that they put down for. So I got to go shop for a rug of my own. Or maybe I really liked it and I realized I don't have one at home. So I got to go shop for a rug of my own. I just love the fact that these two Sabian symbols are connected by a rug. It's so Capricorn. Providing the foundation, the comfortable foundation, is kind of what we're looking for. Now, this Sabian symbol says it emphasizes the value of reliance on tradition. And there may be that. We may realize that something we were balking against, actually, we may need to go back to the tradition of it. A foundation that we thought we were moving away from, we may need to go back and look at the foundation and say, that's actually the foundation I liked. And then you can insert all of the Capricorn keywords there. So it could be a reliance on a certain structure, a reliance on a certain rule that we may have decided we either need to rethink or redo. It is definitely a revisit to strategy here is what we're going to be redoing with this Mercury stationing retrograde. I tend to think of Venus as bringing gifts. So I don't think this retrograde is necessarily filled with like disaster, but I do think there is a sense that we need to be looking at our values. There may be some supply chain stuff go on. That's a more mundane type of thing. Also with Venus, you have women's issues. I don't know, you could definitely look at governmental money here with Venus and Capricorn, and Mercury is commerce and trade also. Mercury can rule the social media outlets, and we know there's been a lot going on with those right now. So this station retrograde is something to watch, not only in your own lives, but in the news and things like that. So something to note. And, of course, as it stations retrograde, the moon's just sitting there kind of square to, sextile to it in Pisces, which is kind of like, is this reality? I didn't know I could feel like this, or I'm a little bit surprised by something. I think Pisces being dissolution or delusion, or disillusionment. I mean, there's lots of words you can use for Pisces, but also dreams. This sextile kind of makes me look, oh, Mercury stationing retrograde with Pisces involved. What is it in the fog that we may see that makes us go revisit those strategies? Okay, so what else happens December 29th? Anything else? No, Saturn does move to 22 degrees, but other than that, no. So let's move on. December 30th. Moon's in Aries. Actually, what time does that happen? That may happen on the 29th. The moon moves into Aries Thursday. Yeah, December 29th, Thursday morning, and hits Jupiter. So that's also big feels, big emotions. And then we have the first quarter square of the moon from the new moon. Okay, so the first quarter square is the half moon. You look up, you see the half moon. In astrology, that is considered crisis in action. Basically, we planted a seed at the new moon. Now we need to take action on it. In Aries, where Jupiter is, this is the place that we have been exploring our own authenticity, autonomy, desires, the way we move through life and take action. This gets brought up, and we may need to come to ourselves and go, do I accept myself? Do I go after my own desires? This is the met desires rather than society's standards transit. Okay, this is when it really comes up. It probably won't, it may come up at the new moon. I think this is when it really comes up. I'm going my own way. I'm not relying on tradition. What do I need to pick and choose from each place? I'm not going to rely on that same structure. Or do I? This is a really deep dive. Jupiter's philosophy. It's your worldview. At the same time, the moon sextile Mars. This is very active. It could be a little bit of a burst of energy, a moment where we go, this is the direction I'm going very quickly. But don't forget Mercury's retrograde. So if you can temper that, it may be a good idea. Maybe think before you act if that's possible. Some people, it's in their chart that they need to act, and they will. But this, yeah, I would look for it to be a very active, big feels, maybe even a little anger and frustration Aries transit. That's around nighttime, Thursday, December 29th. So we're saying 7 p.m. Let me see. Yeah, around 7 p.m. That really is the height of it. Okay, December 30th. Moon's still in Aries, not doing much, but it will square Mercury retrograde. I think that's something to look at. Oh, it's nighttime. That might be good for us, although it's a buildup. It's a slow burn towards the square to Mercury retrograde, which will just, I think, give us an awareness. I'm not afraid of these things, but I am conscious of them. And moon in Aries square to Mercury retrograde does suggest that we maybe made an impulsive decision that we have to then go back and kind of look at. So, I mean, if you know that, maybe you won't do that, right? Maybe. It could also indicate that we've learned something new that informs us. So, Saturday, December 31st, the moon moves into Taurus. And we have a Venus-Pluto conjunction. Okay, Venus-Pluto. This is about empowerment. This is about where do we feel empowered? Where do we feel disempowered? This is about claiming power. And it's a very, I think this one's a pretty impressive transit that we had last year, Venus retrograde on Pluto. And it really informs us of what our deepest selves are based on. I mean, Pluto and Capricorn is what is your deep basis foundation. Venus meaning that is, yeah, this is what we value. And I think no matter what, I mean, this could be rocky in terms of relationships, especially with the moon in Taurus, which is Venus ruled. You do have that situation where we go, I'm not going to take it anymore because I've been disempowered. Any relationship, really. But in Capricorn, this could be relationship with jobs. It could be relationship with the government. It could be making something official or not. It could be just simply a relationship in your life. It doesn't have to have that very Capricorn archetype to it, but is the relationship successful? I don't know. Am I feeling disempowered in it? Am I getting what I need, what I want? Am I giving too little? Those are the questions we'll be asking, I think. And this could also be about money for some people as well. So I would look to Saturday, December 31st to be something formative. Of course, it is New Year's Eve by the Gregorian calendar. So let's take a look at New Year's. By the way, that exact Venus-Pluto conjunction is like right around New Year's. That is kind of hilarious. I'm not going to lie. It's at 11:16 p.m. December 31st. And I think this is a jumping off point. Like, we are not going to take it anymore. This is where we're starting from. Not jumping off the ledge. That's not what I mean, but like a foundation, a springboard, a place of empowerment. Just looking at the other thing. I think that's the major thing for New Year's is going to be the moon in Taurus, because we'll have a moon trine the sun. We will have the sun coming into a trine with Uranus, which will change things. Mercury is applying to a square. I'm sorry, a sextile with Uranus on New Year's Day. Let's see. Yeah, it's applying on New Year's Day. So got a couple things going on New Year's Day, but overall looks pretty magical. There is one slight hiccup, and that is the sun square Chiron. That can look like a sensitive moment. Chiron's in Aries, ourselves, our authenticity, our truth. The sun is in Capricorn. What is tradition? What is society standards? So there is a sense that there is a kind of a tug of war here between what we need to do for our own healing versus how we need to adhere to society standards. But with the moon in Taurus hitting Uranus, I can tell you that society standards are not going to win. The other thing is Mars is at its stationary degree. It will not go direct until January 13th, but it's at the 8th degree and it will just hang there. So if you have anything around 8 degrees of Gemini or 8 degrees of any air sign or any mutable sign, pay attention around New Year's Day when Mars hits the stationary degree. I think overall this will be a commitment to making some changes New Year's Day. And we say that every New Year's Day, like every New Year's Day we want to change something, right? It's New Year's resolution. We got this New Year's resolution. This is a time when it's really actually solidifying in ourselves. We may not be totally aware of it until more like late January, but this will be a time when we start to solidify in our souls. And that's also indicative of the Mercury sextile to Neptune again. Okay, January 2nd, the moon is moving into Gemini. That's at night, which will sextile Jupiter. So I think for some reason, January 2nd looks like a time when we get a direction, when we go, okay, this is the direction I need to do things. It's very mental. We're very aware. We may have conversations with people, especially on the lead up to January 3rd, because the moon will hit Mars. And the thing about that is it can bring up frustrations with Mars retrograde, still out of bounds. It could be conflagrations, emotional, just anger. And with it in Gemini, that might actually come out of our mouths. Just keep in mind, Mercury's retrograde. There's still some things to figure out. So if you feel like popping off at the mouth, and you can maybe drink a glass of water before you do so, that will be very helpful. That's around noon to 1 to maybe even 2 on Tuesday, January 23rd, January 3rd. But also this is a very motivating transit. So yeah, channel that into doing things that build Mercury retrograde in Capricorn that help you build towards success. Okay. January 4th, Moon will trine Saturn. So yeah, this is definitely there's potential to get stuff done, but the Moon squares Neptune, which is confusion, lack of clarity. So if you can just tap into the trine to Saturn in Aquarius, the bird's eye view, where do I want to be in the future? This could be a very productive day. I do think it's helpful. Jupiter's in Aries. I think we're good. Just remember there is a high potential to be productive if you channel it right on Wednesday, January 4th. And then what we go into is full moon territory around January 5th. The moon goes into Cancer, which is very in my feels, squares Jupiter. And this is right before the new moon, so I can talk about it. This moon square Jupiter is going to be probably pretty hefty for the feels, and that's Thursday morning. So if you're feeling sensitive, it's okay. It also will square Chiron, which is now direct on the lead up to the full moon. So big feels here. Could be very sensitive. Oh gosh, I missed Venus moving into Aquarius. When does that happen? The day before, January 2nd. So at night, Venus moves into Aquarius. Again, bird's eye view. So we do have that nice trine from Moon to Venus as well, with a sextile to Jupiter. Ooh, Monday night looks really, really nice. Some good things happening for some reason around Monday night. If you can take advantage of it, that's a good transit to take advantage of. Venus sextile Jupiter with Moon sextile Jupiter. But then again, we got the January 3rd Moon Mars, January 4th. January 4th with the Moon trine Saturn, we still have Venus sextile Jupiter. I really think that's great. I mean, the Moon square Neptune is pretty brief, and so is the Moon trine Saturn. So what a weird mix of stuff. It's like wanting to let go, but wanting to get the work done. And then boom, the moon's in Cancer with the big feels. This may not feel comfortable Thursday, January 5th. I'm just going to say it. It may not be the most comfy transit, but it is something that will help you tune into what the full moon's going to be about, I think, which, by the way, the full moon will trine. It'll sextile Uranus and trine Uranus, and that's something to note. This full moon's going to be off the chain, y'all, off the chain. There's a preview of it, but I'll be back to talk about the full moon around January 5th. Maybe I'll do it with the Moon Venus sextile 10 p.m. Monday night. I don't know. But January 6th, Friday, is the full moon. And I will definitely be back probably midweek that week to give you your New Year's update. So I've decided if I want to do a year ahead video. Are y'all interested in that? Please let me know. I would like to know if you would like me to do a whole year ahead video. I've looked at the whole year. Got some interesting things coming with it. We also have a Venus retrograde in Leo next year. The eclipses are changing signs next year. Saturn's changing signs. Pluto's changing signs. Lots of changes coming up next year. So yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Get your year ahead reading with me. I've been booked up, got a lot of those going on, but I got plenty of space open. So holler at me. I would love to do your New Year reading for the year ahead. And also let me know if you want a year ahead video. I mean, if I get some comments and some likes, then maybe I will do it. I have a article coming out in the Organization for Professional Astrology's journal, The Career Astrologer, and it's on the next 3 months. So you can check that out. I'll put that online too on my Instagram, Facebook, and all that, which is always under ecstatic astrology because I am ecstatic about living generally, unless I'm sad. But most of the time, I'm really ecstatic about it. So that's finding my business that. Also, astrology really helps me. I love it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check out your rising sign videos. I do have a consultation coming up, so I may wait another hour or two to do those. So if there is a separation, please know that those come out later this evening. All right, guys, have a great new moon in Capricorn, finding out who you are and what you want.